If you thought you got something in the legacy somehow legitimately, or because you found a way to get money and buy it, and sometimes there might be a way of course correcting. Let me remind you August 7th, 2020. Last night I clocked out at 10:08 p.m. Central Standard Time. I went to my locker in the bathroom and then went to go back to the area for quality control. I saw person who happens to have her last name translated into flower leaving as I understood her shift ended at 10 o'clock p.m. I told her I had to leave because she was leaving and what I had witnessed when and after she left me to train with somebody who has a name that can be concatenated into an insect and somebody who has a name that I will not discuss right now, did not make me feel safe. I got my schedule and papers out of the quality control area and then went to my locker to get some things and leave. Prior to speaking with the one flower, I spoke with the male security guard. He was in the security room with the lights off, so at first I was uncertain if anyone was there. The security guard was in the dark. He came out of the security room. I told him I was new, that something had happened that made me feel unsafe on the job, and that I was not abandoning my job but needed to leave and would call tomorrow. He went into the office while I went into the bathroom, and when I came out, he handed me a yellow post it note with the name of the person I was supposed to contact, who, by the way, has a name that concatenates into the name of a sitting Supreme Court Justice of the United States. On it, I had requested he make a notice specific to me leaving, not because of abandonment, but because I felt unsafe. The safety issue occurred immediately after I was assigned to work on the floor with the two women mentioned earlier. Two men were also there. At one point after I arrived, one of the men said to go over to the line where one of the women was, and I did. And she said to follow her. We walked up the line. There was a woman at a panel at the top of a short stair. I understood she was actively operating a machine involved with an active production line. The one woman went up to the stairs from behind her with what appeared to be no advance notice and wrapped her arms around the woman. The woman appeared to be startled and laughed. I was immediately concerned that this was a potential hazard to the safety of the woman operating the line using the panel and or to the other woman, as well as anyone who may have been working in connection with that production line. I walked to the right of the stair and there was a pallet of boxes with two red rejected labels. On the top of the boxes was A closed purse handbag with no shoulder strap, and B, a plastic sandwich bag with chips. I asked, whose food and purse is this? The first time they either did not hear me or acted as if they did not hear me. I asked again, whose food and purse is this? They looked at me and the one woman indicated it was the other woman's. I said, and you're okay with this? The women indicated it was not of concern to them. I believe the one woman actually said as much, and the other woman agreed with her. At that point, under those circumstances, I did say I quit. I then left. Flower had said at least twice that they shouldn't play like that, but referring to the two women specifically, but also to the two young men. Even if Flower does not disclose or enforce policy regarding potential sexual harassment perils, Flower is not the supervisor of the woman operating the machine. I have not been introduced to their supervisors. Not only that, I originally applied for a job as a line operator, but was offered one as quality assurance. I've already been told that part of my job will be to check the line at certain points, though as of now I do not know which. Policy requires food to be kept in the break room and personal items to be kept in specific locations. That handbag purse was not work related. If I were being required to play along with other employees in important roles such as line operator or quality assurance, intentionally violating stated policies and compromising the safety of other employees, then I have no choice but to quit. Flower had already acknowledged she understood the two women's behavior regarding inappropriate touching to be unacceptable, but had refused to enforce appropriate policy. It is not safe to leave me in that situation on my first day on the floor for training with no supervision. Flower had already clocked out. There had just the day before been a hazard when a machine had been impacted by a burning rubber element, and there was no on-site safety supervision. Indeed, even Flower did not know until she and I left the quality control area to go somewhere else on site and saw the smoke and smelled the burning rubber. If I do not have the authority to enforce potential safety hazards prevention policies, then I either need to know who will and when, or I need to seek employment elsewhere. This is through no fault of my own. If there are proxies or derivatives engaged on site during work hours, please know I already informed Flower of my cognizability of such processes and understandings of the law. This did not meet any legal standard. Please advise next steps in writing. A day after that, the American Society for Non-Destructive Testing sends what they claim is a revision to their manuals regarding the testing for personnel at qualified non-destructive testing centers. You know what it shows me? It shows me that somebody is going to be there who's going to have the authority, the supervision. And you're just supposed to do what they say. And if there's a problem, I don't know how that got there. Yeah, they shouldn't do that, I know it's not a part of the policy. They shouldn't do that. I tell them all the time. And then they're going to leave you. And what happens when you see them? Well, you abandoned your job. You're going to say I abandoned my job because you already knew you had people doing completely illegal activity on the floor of an assembly line and an assembly center. You're claiming that this is an essential service. You need to make ceramic tiles because they have construction. And meanwhile, you're laundering massive assets for fucking pension kickbacks with young people that are given no intercession when they engage in completely unsafe activity. Just so you know, what's not mentioned in here is it's in the policy that I have as evidence that you're not allowed to engage personal cell phone use while you're at the job. Every single person in that section was playing with their cell phone, and even the people that were supposed to be supervisors in other sections were engaging in illicit cell phone usage on the floor. And you want to talk to me about how I'm supposed to be your 500 supplement? You don't have to pay me. You know that company didn't send me a legal contact. They sent me a COBRA letter. But they didn't send me any information about how I was going to get paid or how we were going to address the PPE in the form of those steel-toed boots. And we are now 23 days overdue. 23 days since they got formal written notice of the problem. Technically, they had 10 business days to respond. They responded with a COBRA letter that was connected to an act of terrorism. I'm not accepting your fucking revised standards. You don't get to fucking teledrug hot Latina girls that don't have appropriate documentation and have fake certificates that have been made by somebody who actually may have legitimate certificates and may have a legitimate seniority, but is willing and willing to cooperate with a plan to get people who aren't qualified fake certifications saying they are under some proprietary process. See, I have what was supposedly actual legitimate certifications under the old standard, right? And I requested it get qualified and verified under other standards that needed to be addressed responsibly, concurrently, to do the kinds of things I understood were possible with my certificates, that I wanted to do with my certificates, and that somebody else who created duplicates was already doing. Where did you lead me? You led me to a goddamn fucking Mexican ceramics plant where people are laundering police pension kickbacks through Nigerian investment funds. There have been 2 acts of chemical warfare, 2 acts of terrorism connected to chemical plants. Just in the time I got official correspondence. What would have happened if I had stayed on that job while they were engaging in that charlatanry? Your standards are not acceptable.